On today's show, we begin interview season with a very big guest.
6'7" to be exact, Ross. It's the Sens' second round pick, 39th overall, Gabriel Eliasson.
Get into a whole lot with him, great kid, and more on today's Locked On Sens.
I'm Jake Sanderson.
I'm Tim Stützle, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
You're Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome! You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators, the only daily podcast covering the Sens. On the outskirts of enemy territory, I'm Ross Levitan, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. As playoffs are over, sports might not be as prominent as they were, but all summer long, FanDuel is hooking up every customer with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right, there's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. All right, you can also follow the show on social media. We're at Sens Central on Twitter, and you can find the podcast everywhere you get yours, including on YouTube, where we say hello and remind you that a like, comment, and subscription go a long way to helping the show grow. Today is Monday, July 8th, and Pilsy, good news, we are back 5 days a week all the way through July.
And Ross, it is interview season for us. You've been working like crazy, lining up interviews, and we started off with, like you mentioned, a very big one. One of the newest Sens prospects, Gabriel Eliasson, on today's show. We're fired up about that. And we got a whole lot more great guests coming up too.
Prospects, coaches, captains, you name it, they could be appearing on Locked On Senators this summer. So make sure to hit the notification bell on YouTube to know when new videos go live. We've had a lot of great feedback on our clip videos as well. If you might not want to click on a 40-minute video, boom, we'll get these segments out to you throughout the summer as well. We do have our Ring of Honor making its comeback at some point this summer, and our organizational value rankings. This will be our 4th or 5th season doing it, so it's cool to see the projections and trajectory of certain players. We've got one adding to our list this year, Gabriel Eliasson. What are your thoughts after speaking to this young man?
Great kid. I mean, that's the thing, Ross, when we're doing our prospect profiles. I know everyone's goofing on me for it and saying, is Pilsy going to call in sick for the pod today? They're interviewing Gabriel Eliasson. No, none of that nonsense. Do I take back what I said in our prospect report? Not necessarily, but I think this is good to kind of humanize it and be like, look, this is a 17-year-old kid. He's a great kid. I believe in him. He's got a lot of work to do, but he seems like he's ready for it. And I think he's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Like, Ross, I rewatched that highlights of him just laying guys out. And look, the Senators want to play a bigger, more physical, more mean style of game. There is no one in the entire draft that can help them do that better than Gabriel Eliasson. So if that's what they're working for, they nailed it with this kid. And although he may be mean, nasty with a lust for violence on the ice, Ross, he's an absolute great kid. And I'm stoked that he's a Sens prospect, and we're going to be cheering for him.
No spoilers. You'll hear from him shortly. But after we wrapped up the interview portion, just chatting with him after, says his dad's a small guy. He's only 6'4" or 6'5".
Yeah.
So big family right near Gothenburg. So we'll get into dev camp with him and a whole lot more. On the other side of the interview, our guy Kevin Lee at Bring Back Lee on Twitter was at the 3-on-3 scrimmage to wrap up development camp. So we'll get his boots on the ground thoughts with that. Not a whole lot of news in Sensland, and it's almost the calm after the storm. You get that fresh feeling in the air. I already put out a premature lineup just for fun. Over 100 responses. People are very, very engaged with the lineup discussion. Billsy, for me, it still needs a couple things, but that tweaking can go on throughout the summer. There's still a lot of teams who are over the cap right now. Those teams are going to keep feeling the pinch more and more as summer progresses. Hopefully, whether it's trade or the bargain bin free agent shopping, hopefully Ottawa can add a piece or two to add to the depth that they've created.
And I think they will, Ross. That's why we saw the Shane Pinto extension held up until they were able to move on from Matthew Joseph's contract. Because if they weren't thinking of adding more, Ross, I think Steve Staios just says, all right, we'll figure out what to do with Joseph later on. Maybe we just keep him, and then we don't have to add another forward, and we'll just sign Pinto, and we'll figure it out from there, right? So I think clearly this move was made to sign Shane Pinto and still have cap space left over to do more moves. Like, it's $3.6 million, Ross. It's not like, I know there's some Sens fans that are like, oh, I think they should just leave that cap space so they can make moves later on and have flexibility. Not a terrible idea, but I think $3.6 million is more cushion than the Sens need or want. And I believe they only have 18 players signed. So like they need to move up and fill out this roster a little bit more, in my opinion.
They have made another signing. Remember we said Belleville needed another right shot defenseman? Well, they got one. They got Wyatt Wiley, all-time handle. It's a one-way AHL contract, so he's not affiliated necessarily with Ottawa right now, but he is in their system, and he actually had a pretty decent last season. 2 seasons ago. Last year, he played 5 games in the ECHL, and he played 45 games for the Ontario Reign, the AHL affiliate of the LA Kings, and picked up 13 points in those games. He was a 5th-round pick in 2018 by Philadelphia. Over 176 career AHL games, Wiley has 48 points. So I think that kind of solidifies the back end in Belleville. That's more of a Lassie Thompson replacement. Yep. Obviously not a prospect anymore, but for Wiley, but hey, he's going to come in and add some depth at the Belleville level. So hopefully we can get a few more at the NHL level. Ottawa has also taken care of just about every restricted free agent at this point. Jan Jenik has signed his contract, $195K at the AHL level. Another big money AHL guy. If he doesn't crack the Sens lineup, for me, he's probably got the inside track at the opening night gig on the 4th line. But Adam Gaudette probably has something to say about that. Matthew Highmore is going to push, and there's going to be the prospects that are looking as well in Zach Ostapchuk and Stephen Halliday. So I think that with that group, you've got some good competition, but I do think on the wings, you probably want to add at least one more guy to help solidify the NHL depth up front. And we already talked on Friday about who could be in those positions, whether it's up front or on the back end. We looked at the remaining free agents as well as a little Rutger McGroarty chatter that is more just us looking at, hey, what ways can Ottawa improve? You got 3 years ELC. One note on that, just to finish up that whole narrative thought process, because I don't think we'll revisit it. I doubt Rutger McGroarty is coming to Ottawa. Pillsy, Kevin Cheveldayoff, after development camp wrapped up here in Winnipeg yesterday, he was lauding the performance of Brad Lambert, saying he didn't have to come here, but he wanted to be here and wanted to be a leader. And it just felt like such a direct shot at McGroarty. So he's going to get moved, but I doubt it's to Ottawa.
Yeah, but also, Ross, I'll spin zone it. Maybe that's a slight shot at McGroarty, but also praising Lambert with well-deserved praise. Like that kid's been through quite a whirlwind when it comes to where he's been playing, his expectations and everything. So yeah, shout out Brad Lambert.
Let us know in the comments who you want Ottawa to continue chasing as the summer goes on. I've got some DMs yesterday. Our guy, Nick Marchand, was saying, hey, what about Daniel Sprong? And I just look at it like, is that the type of team the Sens are looking to build? They already moved on from Parker Kelly to get more size and speed in their lineup. I just feel like that might not be a fit, although I do like the way Sprong can put the puck in the net.
Yeah, I feel like if they didn't sign Amadio, Ross, Sprong would be my guy because he's kind of a versatile bottom 6 guy that can provide some offense. But with Amadio, Perron, and even Gregor signed, I'm just not sure where Sprong would fit in. But I do like the thought process.
Dev camp has come and gone, and Gabriel Eliasson flew home to Sweden, slept for 14 hours, and now he's here on Locked On Senators. So we're looking forward to that chat, and stay tuned afterward for a little boots on the ground analysis from Dev Camp from our guy at Bring Back Lee. That's all next. You're listening to Locked On Senators. It's your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. I love sports. I love sports so much I never want them to stop, but NHL and NBA playoffs are done, so we get fewer games, and the sports aren't sportsing the way I quite want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I need to do is open up the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. Regular season baseball is in full swing. I've been following along, trying to find some good prop bets on the FanDuel app. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers. So this isn't just for new customers, all customers with a boost or bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. So head over to fanduel.com/lockedon and start making the most out of your summer. Start getting those future bets in order. You got to have the long-term investments in your sports gambling portfolio. So head to FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball.
All right, we now welcome on a very, very special guest, a native of Kungsbacka, Sweden. This 6'7" defenseman was just selected 39th overall by the Ottawa Senators at the NHL draft and just got home from his first development camp in our nation's capital. Looks like he brought some swag with him. Gabriel Eliasson, welcome to Locked On Senators. How are you doing today, sir?
Thank you so much. I'm doing great. I'm pretty jet lagged from coming home from Canada. So, I mean, I sleep like 13, 14 hours this night. So, yeah. But
so you're ready. You got the energy back.
Yeah, exactly.
So what's been the last, let's say 2 weeks? Because, well, let's go back. Let's say the start of June, because you went to the scouting combine. You've got the draft, the pre-meetings. Like, what a whirlwind. How have you been able to take that all in?
I mean, I don't think I would take all in. I come from U18 Worlds, and I was training like 1.5 weeks with my team. Then I go to Combine, did some interviews there, like 28 interviews that week. And the last 2 days I have physicals, tests, and stuff like that. And then I come home to Sweden again, get sick from the jet lag. I was sick like 4 days or something. Then I was free like 2 days. I was on ice 1 day there, just to, I was willing to train. And then I go to Vegas to the draft again. Was there 1 week before the draft, and then I get drafted to Ottawa, and then keep going to Ottawa, and now I'm home. So it's been pretty busy month for me, but really fun.
Yeah, what a whirlwind. Now, Gabriel, some of us were surprised when you were selected by the Senators in the second round, but were you surprised when the Ottawa Senators selected you? Like, how did your interview process go with them? Did you get a feeling that they were a team that were really interested in you? Tell us about that whole experience leading up to being selected.
Because 28, Gabriel, you said 28 out of 32 teams you interviewed with?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I did a great interview with Ottawa, and not talking that much on the season, during the season. I think I was on some mail from them, and some teams talk a little extra with somebody, also some psychology, but not with Ottawa. I have a great meeting with them, so I mean, I had a great feeling, but I didn't expect that Ottawa gonna pick me. But I've heard from, I talked with some teams before the draft, and I heard from teams that draft late first round that they was really interesting, and also some early second round. So I was just hoping to get drafted and be in a good place. And I mean, Canada's capital city is, I think that's the best. So I was very lucky when Ottawa Senators picked me. And as I said before in some media, that Alfredsson is from my town here, and it's so fun that being a place where he played, and also Erik Karlsson, and it's so cool to be a part of Ottawa now.
There's so many Swedes. You can even go back to Andreas Dackel, Magnus Arvidsson. Like there's a long history of Swedes in Ottawa. Robin Lehner in goal, and now you've got obviously Anton Forsberg and Linus Ullmark. Both the goalies are from Sweden as well. So there is a long history there. What did you know about the Ottawa Senators before? I loved your initial answer where you heard Brady Tkachuk had that 16-hit game. I know we'll get to your game too. But what did you know about the organization maybe before you first went there to Dev Camp?
I didn't know that much. I mean, I know what Ottawa was. Basically, my agent's daughter is studying here in Ottawa also. So he said it's a nice place. It's pretty similar to Gothenburg, like pretty calm, cozy city. Not like coming to New York City, but
Or Vegas?
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I think it's a pretty nice place to be, and when it's pretty soft and good fans, and yeah. So I didn't know that much. I just know that it's a good organization. When I heard from like medias from Erik Karlsson, and like he loved to be there, and I think he's living there now also.
Yeah.
Even if he play in Pittsburgh. So I didn't know that much. It was so fun to come to the development camp and see how their facilities are. So yeah, really great.
Do you know any of the other Swedish prospects like Philip Nordberg or Oscar Pettersson? Did you know them before?
No, not really. I know them. I knew who they are, but yeah, we didn't have that relationship as we have now. So I mean, it was so nice to be with them this week, and also some other prospects that weren't drafted, not drafted, and also some guys there are. So yeah, really fun week, and yeah, I hope we're gonna be friends for the rest of the life.
Now, excuse me. Now, Gabriel, I want to take back to your early days playing hockey. Any scouting report of Gabriel Eliasson talks about the size, the physicality. When did you become so much bigger than all of your peers and all of your other teammates and opponents on the ice? Was there a certain summer or an age where you hit that growth spurt and all of a sudden now you're towering over everyone else?
No, not really. I mean, I always been bigger than the other. But I mean, when I was playing with 05 guys 1 year older than me on the COVID-19 year, I was probably the same size as them. They grew a lot, and I wasn't smaller, but I think I was probably the same. Then after that year, I grew like 10 centimeters, and that's a lot. I don't know what that's in inch, but 10 centimeters, and then I just keep growing. And I mean, this season I almost stopped. I was growing from the last step you take from 6'6" to 6'7". I was like 1 centimeters on the whole season. So
do you think you're done growing then, or you got a little more growth left?
I think I'm done.
Now, was it difficult? I know you said it wasn't all at once, even though 10 centimeters is 4 inches almost. So that's quite a big spurt. But was it difficult to maintain your coordination and your skating right away when you were that much bigger than you were before?
Yeah, I mean, it was during the COVID-19 season, so we wasn't playing that much games. So it was a lot of trainings that year. And I always know that some big guys are pretty bad in the skating. So I was working really extra with my skating my whole life with some skating coaches and camps, and we also had a really great skating training in our youth team, Honals. So I was working with my coordination, like my mobility outside, with some small runnings and sprints, and also with my skating, because I want to be like mobility out there, and also like learning juggle with balls and play some tennis and stuff like that. So I think I'm a pretty good skater compared to my size.
Now, you grew up playing in the HV71 system. It's about an hour and a half, 2 hours from Gothenburg. Was that, how did you end up there? Because obviously we know Frölunda is right in your neck of the woods. What was the conversation, or how did you end up playing in HV71?
Yeah, I mean, Frölunda didn't want me at first in U16 years. So, I mean, it wasn't an option for me. I also want to live by my own, as many guys do here in Sweden. So, yeah, when I was 15 years old, I go to HV71. I was committed to them even before the U16 year started, like before you can sign a contract. So they really want me, and that was probably the best option I did in my life. I'm so happy that I chose HV71. My develop there was insane, and the facilities there are really good. We have 4 ice rinks, 2 gyms, a really big shooting area. So, I mean, Conor Bedard was there when it was COVID-19 season, and I think it was because of the facilities. So, I mean, I'm very happy that I choose HV71, and I have really good developed there, and I know that it's such a good guys that I'm working with.
Yeah, seems like a great place to play for sure. Now, we talked about the size when looking at your scouting report, Gabriel. Now, another thing that's always brought up with you is that physicality and that meanness you have. Lots of scouts saying you have a lust for violence and you're always out there playing a physical game. But you seem like such a nice kid when we're chatting with you here. So my question is, how did you get so mean? Like, what is it that when you put those skates on and you get on the ice, like, what is it that just clicks for you? Have you always been that way when you're playing? Or is that something that as you grew and developed and got that size, you're like, all right, I got to use this size to be imposing here on the ice?
Yeah, I mean, I think the main reason is because I'm very competitive. I always want to win, and I hate to lose. Not just lose the game, but even lose the battles. Like if it's a battle in the corner, I want to win that. I want to win the puck. I want to win like every situations out there. So I realized early in my career that I can make a career from my defense play and my physical, because before that I was pretty offensive in my young age. But I realized early that when I watched some Niklas Hjalmarsson, how he played, and Niklas Lidström, how his defensive play was. So I mean, I realized that early, and I started working with my defense play, and I always heard from everyone that I need to, from young age, play physical. So it came natural. So now it's just natural. I love to make some big hits and be an aggregator. So. I mean, I think it's because I'm very competitive and I like to do these things. And I also think it's fun to be pretty rough out there.
We saw that boil over at the under 18s with you guys and Team USA. What was the conversation in the locker room like after that one, where it was a full on line brawl? You never see that in international play.
No, I mean, we had really happy time after that. I mean, it was an rival team the whole season. We won them in Finland, and then we come there and we basically won the game when it was 1.5 seconds left. And the coach said to me that I can go out, do what I want, but not go too far. So I mean, I delivered some crotch check, and then it was just fired up, and it ended up with me and Iceman. So for me, it was really funny, and I think my whole team appreciated that also. And
because they kept celebrating to it was in your or it was more your fans, right? And they were celebrating to them. Was that what got you pissed off?
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, the highlights were great of that game, man.
Yeah. That was such a nice experience.
So you guys got the bronze medal at that game. Hey, I always say it's better to win bronze than it is to win silver, because then you don't lose the last game.
No, that was the final game of that tournament. So we won the gold.
So
that's even better than bronze or silver, Ross.
Yeah,
what am I looking at?
I mean, it was a 5-nation tournament in Plymouth in their home arena.
That's what it was.
Yeah, okay, that was even better to win that game in their home arena. They train there every day, and it also was. We needed to win that in full time. So when it was, I think it was 3-3, and it was 5 seconds left, they took a penalty. And if we would win in overtime, they won the gold medal. So then we got 5 seconds left, and our 07 guy, he's insane, Hansen Frondal, he did a one-timer. It was 1.5 seconds left, and we won the tournament in their home arena. So that was why it was even better.
I was looking at the World Under 18s, right? That's where you won bronze.
Yeah, exactly.
Not the first time I've been wrong about you, my man. So we look back, and your stat line in that gold medal game is hilarious. 27 penalty minutes, all at the final buzzer.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. Hey, that gold medal, where do you keep it?
We
room at your house?
No, I think the national team for Sweden got that trophy. It was a pretty big trophy.
That's awesome.
That was nice. So it was nice to. We wishing that we could meet them in some U18 World Final or something, but
World Juniors next year. You know where the World Juniors are, right?
Yeah, in Ottawa.
In Ottawa, exactly. Yeah. So hey, looking forward, and you mentioned you got to beat them in in Plymouth in the States. You might be friends with some of these guys in a couple of years, because it looks like not this fall, but next fall. Is the plan still to go to Michigan in the NCAA?
The plan is to play in Michigan, and but I need to finish my school first. I have my third year in the school next year. We're 1 year late in school in Sweden compared to the Americans. So I need to finish my school. I don't really know what I'm gonna do next year. I'm gonna talk with my team home. I know that I haven't really great develop here, but I also know that Michigan wants me to play in a small rink and play in that small rink and develop my game there. So we will see now. I'm gonna talk with my agent now, and we're gonna talk with Ottawa also. So yeah, we will see.
Because it was interesting last week, you were selected in the first round of the CHL import draft into Niagara and the Ontario Hockey League. So that could potentially be an option for you too. It's good to have options, right? You guys can decide what you think's best for your development.
Yeah, I don't really know right now. I'm just gonna see what my agents say, and they're gonna talk with Ottawa also. So I don't really know anything right now, if I'm gonna be honest.
No, I mean that's very fair. You like we just talked about, your last month has been everything. So I think it's best, just to sit back and let it all sink in. I want to get a bit more into development camp, and I know Pilsy wants to get into a couple other things as well. But at development camp, what was your biggest takeaway from that? Whether it was, the professional environment, being at the arena, whatever the case may be. When you left Ottawa, what were you thinking about on the plane?
I think it was so nice to be there. I think you have a dream since you was a small kid. And I know that exactly a year ago, I was in Toronto on an agency camp, and I know that every 05 guys are on a development camp right now after getting drafted. So I know I'm gonna work so hard this year to get there. And I don't have take it in yet. I think I'm gonna do it now when I'm pretty calmed down with the hockey. So the first thing was everything you say there, the professional facilities. I played some pickleball with some guys that was playing in the NHL. I think I don't know the name, but pickleball was also fun to do. We don't have it here in Sweden. Everything from just put the Ottawa jersey on and train with the coaches and see the facilities, how they are there, and everything was amazing.
Who were some of the other Sens prospects that you really noticed or that you got along with in your time in dev camp?
I don't know, not anybody like that. I haven't met Oscar Pedersen before that, and he was talk a lot with him.
He's got a good shot, eh?
Yeah, really good. And I knew him from World Juniors and stuff like that. And he talked with me how it's in AHL, and I didn't know anything before that, but I heard from them that it's a nice rink they are in, and it's a good league to play in. And I also talked with some OHL guys and talk with some guys that play in NCAA, and it's fun to hear how they are and how they have.
So this week we're having a lot of guys on who are at the development camp. We're going to be talking, one of our guys is Stephen Halliday. I know he's 22 years old now, but I want to ask you, as a guy who's just coming into their first development camp, was there a guy who, when you were on the ice, you're like, whoa, this guy's pretty talented? Like when a guy's coming in on a 2-on-1 rush, that sort of thing. Did you notice that, or you're just so focused on your own game that it was just about that?
I think I was pretty focused on my own game. At the first day, I couldn't be on ice because my hockey gear was stuck in Chicago. So I missed the first practice, and then we had some figure skating practice, so I couldn't see that much from the guys from figure skating. And,
no, you had to miss the skating day?
Yeah. So and then we had some D-specific training. It was just backwards, front, and you go passing. So I couldn't see that much. I was seeing on 3-on-3 tournament, but I was just focused on my team, and everybody was so good. I think it was no one there that was not getting there. So everyone was really good hockey players, and it was nice to play with different ages. 05 guys up to 03, and also some 06. So it was really fun.
Now, final question for me, Gabriel. And thanks for joining. This has been awesome to get a chance to know you. And Ross and I always say, any of the players, prospects, or people that come on our show, we always got their back now. So we got your back now for sure, Gabriel. I wanted to ask, was there any piece of advice you got from the coaching staff at Dev Camp, or things they want you to work on in the off season, or just tell us about kind of what the message was to you leaving Dev Camp this time?
Yeah, I was training with a physical trainer, and I get some drills that I can work with home with some hips and my groins to be stronger in some like weird areas that you aren't strong in, basically. So I mean, my goal is to work on my puck skill in my offense play, even if I'm gonna be a shutdown defenseman and just play simple with a puck. Do I need to improve that? So I'm working with that the whole season, and I'm gonna keep working with that. So I think I have a great ideology with them, and I'm just gonna work really hard with the physical training right now, the off ice, because I missed a lot of off ice training this year because of U18 combine draft and everything. So I'm gonna work with some guys in Gothenburg with Erik Brännström and Philip Bruce and those guys. I heard that from Ottawa now that I'm gonna train with them and also be on ice with them. But I'm gonna focus on being off ice as much as I can now. The ice I'm gonna get that in the season, but now I need to work with my off ice training and gain some weight and be prepared for next season.
Awesome. Well, we're looking forward to that, Gabriel. Final question for me. I love that you mentioned Nicholas Hjalmarsson, a legend of the game, but who are the guys in the NHL right now that you watch and you can kind of see yourself play that style of game?
Yeah, I have like three guys that I watch a little extra. One is Nicholas Hägg. I mean, he's basically the same size as me, a little bit shorter, but he's a shutdown defenseman. He can play nice with the puck. He can stand up for himself, fight sometimes, and he can also make some big hits. And I like to see him, how he moves out there, and like to see guys that I can play similar to. I also love to watch Erik Cernak, his physical play, and Nikita Zadorov is a really nice player to watch. I mean, he signed a 5-year contract with Boston, and I think that's pretty good for him plays. And been in so much teams. I think every team in NHL wants him. So I want to play similar to him, and when he makes some big hits also.
I love it. Well, I'm going to send you a reel of one of our friends, old Ottawa Senator. He was actually the partner for Erik Karlsson, our guy Mark Mathot. He was known for his hip check. So maybe we can add that to your arsenal as well. I know you got to get pretty low to deliver a hip check at your size, but hey, we love the physicality. It's awesome to see you excited to become an Ottawa Senators prospect, and we look forward to following your journey wherever you decide to go next. You know you have two fans in us, and we look forward to seeing what's to come in your journey and get to see you one day put on the Senators jersey. So thanks for joining us, Gabriel. Have a great summer, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
All right, now we're very pleased to welcome a friend of the show back to Locked On Senators. It's Kevin Lee. You can follow him on Twitter at BringBackLee. Kevin, first question. How much Sens merch have you got since we last talked to you 6 months ago?
Way too much. When the Sens had that summer Q&A for season ticket holders, I think I dropped like $1,000. So the collection's definitely gone up a bit more than I expected it to.
And that's impressive to spend $1,000 there, because Nick Spence was telling us they were selling stuff for like $5 jerseys for like 20. So you must have had to rent a U-Haul van to get that much stuff.
Pretty much. They had to help me carry the stuff out. Yeah, Alfredson frames for $20. It was insane.
That's awesome. What's your most cherished piece of memorabilia right now?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I think right now it still has to be the same one that I've always brought up, the Mark Stone game worn first NHL game in the playoffs jersey, especially
number
now
60?
Cup winner.
Number 60, right?
Number 60, yes. You remember assist
Wow.
Spezza?
Oh yeah, a little saucer right on the stick, and then Spezza goes 5-hole, if I'm not mistaken. That was
back when we had high hopes.
Oh yeah, well hey, they're coming back. We're coming around the corner right now, and you got to see the next generation of Sens prospects on the ice this past week. You're at one of the skates as well as the Friday 3-on-3 tournament. Let's start with the guy you just heard from, Gabriel Eliasson, who's in Ottawa for the first time. Did he look that much bigger than everyone else on the ice?
He is an absolute giant. Like, you think he's a basketball player when you just watch him like outside. I think what stuck out watching him in the 3-on-3 is obviously a 3-on-3 probably doesn't play to his strengths, especially since they're not going to be going out all physical and intra-squad games. But his skating's a lot smoother than you would think it would be.
Now, did he have any big physical hits? Because Ross and I talked about it. Yeah, we're stoked Eliasson's coming to dev camp, but we hope he doesn't hurt anyone.
They were all laid back. It was there's like a couple collisions here and there against the boards, but I'm pretty sure players are told nowadays, especially, don't ramp up the level too much.
Yeah, exactly. So when we were at Dev Camp last year, and we saw you there as well, we noticed that Stephen Halliday was kind of the shining star of last year's Dev Camp. Now, I think I know your answer, Kevin, but who for you was the player that stood out the most at this year's Dev Camp?
At this year would have to be Donovan.
Right.
That guy just looked like he was like a step above everybody else skill-wise, just going on the outside, beating everybody to the net, cutting across left, cutting across right. It was actually really impressive to see. And if you had watched those 3-on-3 games not knowing what position he played, I think you would have sworn he was a forward.
Yeah, that's good. And what about the goalies? You know, we're a hashtag goalie-friendly show. Which of the goalies stood out to you?
I think obviously like Levi is obviously still the top dog. Yep. I think what's interesting too is I don't know if you noticed on the development cap roster this year, I think this might be the first year, I'd have to double check, but I think it's the first year only a goalie has an NHL game under their belt. I think none of the players had an NHL game under their belt, only Levi, which was kind of interesting to see because usually they had that one player who has like NHL experience for everyone to lean on, but not this year.
So let's talk about the oldest guy there then, Stephen Halliday, who we know was drafted as a double overager when we were boots on the ground, not this year, but last year. Him and Tyler Boucher were already kind of a head and shoulders above others with their individual skills. Was Halliday leading out there in terms of the quality that you saw from him?
Oh, for sure. You can definitely tell just watching him that like he's definitely got a skill level above everybody else. It shows that he's got the experience. He's played a couple games in Belleville. I think the one thing I found funny is he probably wasn't as noticeable in the 3-on-3 tournament this year as he was last year. Granted, small sample sizes. You can still see his like sweet mitts like going towards the net. He has great touch with the puck, able to find it, protects the puck really well with his body. I definitely think Belleville is going to be a much more entertaining team to watch this season.
I've heard Halliday is a decent playmaker as well, a bit of a disher. So you probably saw that on display. Now, it's always fun to watch the players on the ice and see how the prospects are performing. But some of the things I love about Dev Camp, Kevin, is just chatting with other Sens fans there and seeing kind of the Sens execs there. What was the vibe of this year's Dev Camp? Like, were people fired up about certain players? Like, just people you chit-chatted with? What was the vibe?
I feel like for the like casual Sens fan, this was probably one of like the lighter dev camps for them because like obviously they have the one big name in Yakimchuk.
Yeah.
But I'm sure if you went to like the average Sens fan and you brought up Stephen Halliday, they might not know who he is quite yet. Because obviously I think you saw, I can't remember who it was on Twitter, but they ranked Ottawa's prospect list, I think like 6th worst in the league or something like that, or 3rd worst. Pretty low there.
Scott Wheeler had them 31 out of 32 in his prospect.
Yeah, a bunch of them had them near the bottom. And I think it does kind of line up when you look at the Dev Camp roster. There really isn't any kind of like surefire, these guys are going to make the NHL type prospects, right? So in that way, I think this was definitely more like a subdued Dev Camp in terms of like the excitement of who we were seeing on the ice in particular. I think the biggest comment, though, coming out of people was the size. I'm sure now after free agency, after the draft, we can kind of tell now where Stales' direction is to build this team. And this was probably the most noblest with Dev Camp. I don't think I've seen that many 6'3" plus players on the ice at the same time.
I don't know if there was more than one defenseman who was under 6 feet. And one of those guys was Carter Yakimchuk as well, 6'3". He was the only first-round pick on the ice in development camp. Now, it's so hard, and it's more of an orientation camp than it is a skills evaluation camp, especially for these draft picks who come straight from the draft. Like Eliasson was telling us, his gear didn't even show up until the second day. So I don't want to ask you, about the intricacies of his skating, but did he look out of place or did he look like he belonged in this group of players?
I think from the drills, he actually looked very solid. Like one of the things that stuck out to me during the Tuesday drills was there was a bunch of drills where they were trying to put the shot on net and have it get tipped. And the thing that really stood out Yakimchuk is compared to all the other defensemen, he hit the net by far the most, which is obviously a skill that Sens fans would appreciate, given how many times we've seen defensemen miss the net. On the 3-on-3, though, I definitely think he was a bit caught by surprise at probably the talent level jump compared to like the WHL. Obviously, there's a lot more like older guys playing now, probably stronger guys than he's used to. I think he was definitely caught a bit surprised by the speed at which even at a dev camp level goes. So like he did not stand out as much as I think he would have hoped he would. Obviously, like you said, though, fresh off of the drafts, fresh off a flight, obviously tired. So I wouldn't take too much into account there, but it was noticeable.
Yeah, that's fair. Final question for me here, Kevin, and we always appreciate you coming on. A boots on the ground report for Dev Camp. We love that. Maybe tell us one guy that pleasantly surprised you. Like we talked about the Eliassons, the Yakimchuks, the Donovans, the Marilinens. Who's one player where you weren't really expecting a whole lot and they really impressed you?
We'll call this the Marcus Nurmi Award because the 1 year I went, I thought this guy was going to be an NHL All-Star. His shot just popped.
I feel like there's always one guy you're like, whoa, who's that? And then you start researching him and you get fired up.
I think a lot of people would agree, actually. Hoyt Stanley actually stood out quite a bit. Like he obviously got some size, but his skating is very solid. He made a lot, like connecting into all his passes in the 3-on-3 scrimmage. Like it was actually really fun to watch. And it gives you some hope that even though these guys are late round draft picks, all we need is like one or two of them to work out, right? And Hoyt Stanley is top draft pick of that season.
First pick, yeah.
It's nice to feel work out, but he was definitely noticeable, which was nice to see.
No first, no second, no third. I forgot about that. But when you get Hoyt Stanley, all's well. Hey, we got Hoyt Stanley coming up this week on Locked On Senators, so we'll be able to hear more from him there. Kevin, really appreciate it. We look forward to seeing you at the home opener, and always love your insight on Twitter at BringBackLee. So thanks for joining us.
Always happy to be here. Thanks, guys.
All right, Pilsy, any final thoughts on today's show?
All right, Ross, it's been a little bit slower on the news side in Sens land since the draft, free agency, Pinto extension, all that. But I know you're a big numbers guy, Ross. So how do you feel about the new numbers being announced for the Ottawa Senators? Pinto going back to the old 12.
Yes, a lot of jersey holders are happy about that from his previous number. I don't think I've ever seen such a transition from 57 to 12 to 57 to 12. Has a player ever used two numbers twice during their career?
With the same team, I don't know. Probably with other teams, but with the same team, that's interesting. And then Pinto making that switch opens up 57 for Perron. And then Amadio is going to be 22. And then Mark Mathot was smiling when he sees Nick Jensen with the number 3.
Good shutdown defensive defenseman. Yeah. So that's your numbers update tomorrow. We're working on getting a guest for you. The rest of the week, we're all set. You're going to hear from Hoyt Stanley. You're going to hear from Stephen Halliday. Working on Blake Montgomery, trying to get a time with him. It is officially interview season here on LOSP. We appreciate everybody for being a part of the show daily, all the way through July. Middle of summer, we got you covered every single day right here on the podcast. For today, we say goodbye, though. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast. Your team every day.